Mitch McConnell. Senator, welcome back to Late Edition.
Glad to be with you, Wolf.
You spent part of this weekend at Camp David with the president and other Republican leaders in the Senate and the House. What was his bottom line message to you?
Well, I think he'd like a chance for this to succeed. Look, our Democratic friends don't have an alternative other than to leave. I think Senator McCain had it right when he said a while back, unlike Vietnam, if we leave Iraq, they'll follow us here. And so we need to try to have a success here, a win. And what is the definition of a win, Wolf? It is a stable government and an ally in the war on terror. And you can't have stability, and this new democracy can't begin to function properly unless there's some measure of security in the capital city. So that's what this increase in troops is about, to try to get security in Baghdad. Once that's occurred, then I think we can begin to draw down our troop commitments.
It's not just Democrats, though, who are hammering away at the president's new strategy. It's several Republicans as well, including Senator Chuck Hagel, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Listen to what he said this week after the president's speech.
I think this speech given last night by this president represents the most dangerous foreign policy blunder in this country since Vietnam, if it's carried out.
Those are pretty harsh words.
Yeah, my good friend Chuck Hagel has been very consistent on this. Even though he supported the Iraq resolution back in 2002, he's been very skeptical all along the way, very critical all along the way. He simply has differed with the president on this policy. Reasonable people can differ, and Chuck has consistently differed with the administration on the Iraq policy.
It's not just Chuck Hagel, who you accurately point out has disagreed with the president on Iraq. Normally very loyal foot soldiers, Republican supporters of the president, are now increasingly coming out as well, including Norm Coleman of Minnesota. Listen to what he said after the president's speech.
I oppose the proposal for a troop surge. I oppose the proposal for a troop surge in Baghdad, where violence can only be defined as sectarian.
And you could name several others, Sam Brownback of Kansas, among others. You have a sort of a mini revolt happening among Republicans in the Senate right now.
Well, look, the Iraq war is the biggest issue in the country. We know it's not going well. The president knows it's not going well. That's why he's been making changes over the last 2 months to try to improve the situation there. What we do know has been extremely successful, and the principal reason for going on offense after 9/11 in Afghanistan and Iraq was to protect us here at home. That part of the war on terror has been 100% success. We've not been attacked again for 5 years. The more difficult part has been leaving behind a stable government in Iraq, and reasonable people can differ. I mean, Joe Lieberman, one of the most prominent Democrats, the running mate of Al Gore in 2000, happens to agree with President Bush. So I think there are bipartisan differences on the best way forward. I think we ought to give the president a chance to succeed so we can have a victory there. Victory, again, being defined as a stable government.
Other than Joe Lieberman, who's now formally an independent, although he caucuses with the Democrats, can you name any other Democratic senator who supports the president's strategy right now?
There are not many. And I think that there's no question that this has the opposition to the buildup in Baghdad has some bipartisan opposition. It's going to be a great debate. It's the most important issue in the country. This is the reason the United States Senate exists, for great debates.
Here are some recent poll numbers that we got after the speech. According to our CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll, on the question of do you favor or oppose the president's plan to send more troops to Iraq, only 32% favor, 66% oppose. On how is the president handling the situation in Iraq, 29% approve of the job he's doing, 69% disapprove. And as far as a resolution to block funds for sending more troops to Iraq using the Senate's power of the purse together with the House, 60% say they should vote for such a resolution, 38% say they should not vote for such a resolution. Numbers pretty gloomy from the president's perspective.
Yeah, they are gloomy, but I think what the American people would really like to see is a success. They'd like to see progress. And the president has looked at the situation, analyzed the situation, talked to his advisors, consulted with Congress. We've had numerous meetings, and concluded that the best chance to succeed is to have a secure capital, to quiet Baghdad down, to give this fledgling democracy a chance to function. We all know what would happen if we precipitously left. The Washington Post, which had been very critical of the war recently, had it right today when they said the Democrats basically have no alternative. No alternative at all. We need to give this policy a chance to succeed.
Are you going to filibuster a resolution, a sense of the Senate, symbolic, non-binding resolution that would oppose this troop increase?
Well, look, if you used to cover the Senate, you know that every measure, virtually every measure with any degree of controversy about it in the United States Senate requires 60 votes. That's the ordinary procedure, not the unusual. Look, we're going to see if we can't work out some alternative resolutions, give everybody a chance to have their fair say. But a matter this controversial, of course, it'll require 60 votes. That's the way it always is in the United States Senate.
Because in all the years I've been covering Washington, and maybe you've got some historic examples, I don't remember using a filibuster on a non-binding symbolic resolution.
It's been used frequently. Look, virtually every matter of any degree of controversy in the Senate for the last 25 years, certainly the whole time I've been there, beyond my time in there, has required a supermajority of 60. This is ordinary, not unusual at all.
Senator John McCain, a fellow Republican, a strong supporter of the president, says he wouldn't vote for such a filibuster.
Well, any measure that comes up in the Senate is going to require 60 votes. We'll see what they actually end up, what the wording actually ends up being, and whether the Democrats really want to do the only thing that could really have an impact, which is to cut off funds for the war, and they'll have that opportunity on the supplemental appropriation that'll be coming up in February. That'll be the real thing, the money for the troops. And Senator Feingold, to his credit, thinks that's what they ought to do. We'll see how many people want to follow that course. Here's
what Senator Biden, the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, said on Thursday when Condoleezza Rice was testifying. Listen to this.
If memory serves me, we've tried that kind of escalation twice before in Baghdad, and it's failed twice in Baghdad. And I fear it will fail a third time.
Why do you believe it will succeed this time? Senator?
I think we ought to give it a chance. The president believes it will succeed. He believes he's going to have the cooperation of the Iraqis that he needs. We'll find out. We'll find out very shortly. There needs to be progress in this initiative in the very near future.
I interviewed Senator Carl Levin, the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, in the last hour. He says he's basically lost all confidence in this Iraqi government of Nouri al-Maliki, that they're not necessarily going to do what they should do, namely step up and deal with the Shiite death squads, the Shiite militias of Muqtada al-Sadr. Do you have confidence that these Iraqis are going to do what they need to do?
I have confidence that we're going to find out very shortly. The president has basically told them what needs to be done. They've said they will do it. We will find out very shortly whether they can produce.
Senator McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.